All right, let's dive into some pretty mind-bending stuff today, huh? Black swan events.
Yeah, those unpredictable high-impact things.
Exactly, and we're taking Nassim Nicholas Taleb's The Black Swan as our guide, so.
Oh, great book. It really makes you think about, like, how much we don't know.
Right. It's like if we could predict these events, wouldn't we just, like, avoid them?
Totally. One of the things Taleb talks about is this idea of two different domains, mediocristan and extremistan.
Okay, those sound intense, like something out of a fantasy novel. What's the difference?
So in mediocristan, everything kind of averages out. Outliers are rare. They don't really change the overall picture.
Got it. So, like, human height would be mediocristan. You're not
Yeah,
going to find a 15-foot tall person.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then you have extremistan, where those outliers, those black swans, can have a massive impact.
Okay, I'm seeing where you're going with this. So, extremistan would be like wealth distribution, right? Where a few billionaires can really skew the average.
Exactly. And that's why traditional statistical models, like the bell curve, they work great in mediocristan. But in extremistan,
Yeah, they kind of fall apart.
big time.
So, if we're using those models to predict things like, I don't know, financial markets or pandemics, we're
Setting ourselves up for a big surprise.
exactly. So, how do we even begin to prepare for these black swan events if our usual tools don't work?
Well, the first step is understanding why we're often blind to them. And Taleb talks about this thing called the problem of induction.
Problem of induction. It sounds intimidating.
It's basically the idea that we assume the future will look like the past, because something happened a certain way before.
We assume it'll keep happening that way.
Right. Like he uses this example of a turkey who gets fed every day for a year.
Uh-oh, I think I know where this is going.
The turkey thinks, sweet, this is my life now. Food every day. But then Thanksgiving rolls around.
Yeah, not a good day for the turkey. But I guess we do the same thing, right? Like, we see
Mm.
patterns even where they don't exist.
All the time. Our brains crave order and predictability.
It makes us feel safe.
Exactly. But black swan events remind us that there's a lot we don't know.
And that sometimes chaos just happens.
It does.
Okay, so we're wired to see patterns, even where they don't exist. But is that the only reason we miss these black swans?
Well, there's also this thing called the narrative fallacy, which is our tendency to create stories to explain things.
Right, because stories make sense of the world.
Exactly. But sometimes those stories oversimplify things. We try to fit these black swan events into our existing narrative.
As if they don't really fit.
Right. And we might overestimate the role of individuals or ignore information that doesn't support our story.
So how do we break free from that, from this need to create these neat and tidy narratives?
It takes effort. You have to challenge your assumptions, be open to different explanations, admit that you don't know everything.
Embrace a little humility, huh?
Exactly.
It sounds like the first step to preparing for black swan events is admitting that we can't really predict them.
Yeah. It's not about prediction. It's about
Preparation.
exactly.
Okay, but how do we prepare for something we can't predict?
Well, we need to understand how our memory plays a role.
Okay, now memory. How does that factor into black swans?
Well, our memory of the past is always colored by what we know now. We have this thing called hindsight bias.
Oh, yeah, that I knew it all along feeling.
Exactly. After a black swan event, it's easy to look back and say, oh, that was so obvious.
But it probably wasn't obvious at the time.
Nope. We rewrite history in our minds, making it seem more predictable than it was.
So we're not only dealing with the unpredictability of these events, but also with our own faulty memories.
We are. And Taleb calls this retrospective distortion. We constantly edit our memories to fit our current worldview.
Which makes us blind to how much we actually don't know.
Exactly.
So if we're constantly surrounded by these potential black swans and our brains aren't wired to deal with them, what do we do?
Well, we can't eliminate uncertainty, but we can learn to navigate it. And Taleb offers this risk management approach. He calls it the barbell strategy.
A barbell strategy. Now that sounds intriguing.
It is. It's a really powerful way to think about risk management in a world that's full of black swans.
Well, let's unpack that after a quick break. All right, this barbell strategy, you gotta lay it on me.
It's like, imagine an actual barbell, right? Weights on both ends, nothing in the middle.
Okay, getting a visual.
It's about managing risk in two very different ways. On one end, extreme risk aversion.
Got it, playing it safe.
Exactly. But on the other end, calculated risk-taking, going all in on certain opportunities.
So not putting all your eggs in one basket, but also not being afraid to,
Go for it.
Yeah. How would this even work in, like, real life, say, with career choices?
Okay, so let's say you've got a secure job, right?
Right.
Traditional industry, been there a while.
Stable, predictable. Got it.
But you're also interested in this new tech field. Everyone's talking about it. Tons of potential.
Risky though, right?
Could be. So the barbell strategy would say, keep your stable job. That's one end of the barbell.
It makes sense.
But also, start developing skills in that new tech field. Take some online courses.
Network. Go to those like industry events.
Exactly. So you're not ditching the security you have, but you're also,
Opening doors to something new.
yeah, you're creating options for yourself.
I like it. So even if that new tech field goes bust, you still have.
Your stable job to fall back on.
And if it takes off, boom, you're ready.
You're ahead of the curve. And this barbell strategy, it's not just careers.
Oh, I bet.
Finances, relationships, how you learn things, it can apply to so much.
Okay, but this seems kind of counterintuitive, right? I mean, we're wired to look for patterns, to plan for the future.
Right, but those plans, they can be fragile. They can break when a black swan event hits.
So the barbell strategy is about being more, I don't know.
Flexible.
Yeah, flexible, adaptable, like
A gymnast.
yeah, kind of. Able to, roll with the punches.
Exactly. And that takes a certain, a mindset. And it also takes being honest with yourself about what you don't know. Taleb calls it epistemic humility.
Epistemic humility. Okay, that's a mouthful.
It's a big word, but it's a simple idea.
Yeah.
It basically means acknowledging the limits of our knowledge.
Not pretending we have all the answers.
Right. The more we cling to our existing beliefs.
The more those black swans can catch us off guard.
Yeah, and those surprises, they can hurt. So you got to be open to new information, challenge your own assumptions,
Even when it's uncomfortable.
especially when it's uncomfortable.
This is making me think about all those times I've, played it safe. Avoided risks because, well,
Because of fear.
yeah. Fear of failure, mostly. What if those were missed opportunities?
Could be. But remember, failure is just information.
It's how we learn.
Exactly. It's not the opposite of success. It's part of the process.
So embracing failure makes you more,
Anti-fragile.
there's that word again, anti-fragile.
Yeah.
We've got to break this down. What does it actually mean?
It's about not just bouncing back from those shocks,
It's about.
benefiting from them, growing stronger because of them. Like,
You're telling me we can actually gain from those black swan events?
absolutely. Those disruptions can create incredible opportunities. They can force you to adapt, to innovate.
So it's not just about surviving, it's about using those events to propel yourself forward.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. We can actually design our lives to be anti-fragile.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. Design our lives to be anti-fragile. How do we even start doing that? Okay, so design our lives to be anti-fragile. How?
Well, it starts with taking risks, but like smart risks, calculated ones.
Calculated risks.
Yeah, stepping outside your comfort zone, trying things, even if it means you might.
Fail.
Right, because the failure, it's just information. It's feedback.
It helps you learn and grow.
Exactly. So, like, start that business you've been thinking about.
Learn that new skill.
Exactly. Push yourself a bit. And this idea of anti-fragility, it's not just personal,
Oh, right. We were talking about...
Societies, whole systems can be anti-fragile too.
Okay, so how do we make a society anti-fragile?
Well, it's about decentralization, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
So, encouraging diverse opinion.
Yeah. Local solutions.
Being able to adapt quickly.
Exactly. That kind of flexibility is key. And, thinking about all this, it made me realize something. We've been talking about these big global black swans, but...
There are smaller ones too, right? Personal ones.
Exactly. Like, what if you lose your job?
Or a relationship ends unexpectedly.
Those are black swans, too. They can really throw you off balance.
And those are the ones that often hit the hardest.
They do. So it's important to think about how to be anti-fragile in those areas of your life, too.
So, having diverse skills.
Yeah.
A good support network.
Exactly. That's all part of being prepared for those unexpected turns.
Both the good and the bad.
Yeah, being open to those opportunities that might come out of nowhere.
Honestly, when we started this whole deep dive, I was a little freaked out.
The uncertainty of it all?
Yeah. But you've really changed my perspective.
Good. I think that's the most important thing to remember. The world is full of surprises. You can't control everything.
But you can control how you respond.
Right. Develop those anti-fragile qualities,
Yeah.
and you'll not just survive, you'll thrive.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible. Really eye-opening.
Glad to hear it. Hopefully everyone listening feels a little more prepared, maybe even a little excited.
About the unpredictable nature of, everything.
Exactly. Embrace it.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into Black Swan events. Thanks for joining us.
And remember, stay